Hey there, fellow trainers. Have you ever wondered whether the encounter you just had was worth catching? Or maybe you're wondering which encounters are the most desirable? Well, today we're going to give you those answers as we review the various Pokemon that can be found on Routes 5, 24, and 25. First off, we have Route 5. On this short but sweet route, just south of Cerulean City, we can find the following Pokemon: Pidgey, Pidgeotto, Abra, Jigglypuff, and Rattata. Now we've covered 3 of these Pokemon sufficiently in the past, namely Pidgey, Pidgeotto, and Rattata, so I see no need to expand on them further. However, Abra and Jigglypuff represent 2 interesting encounters here. Now, Abra in particular is relatively worthless in this form, but it is a long-term investment worth considering, especially if you can get access to its final form of Alakazam. However, it should be noted that its evolved form of Kadabra is still a worthwhile investment in Generation 1. Psychic-types in Generation 1 were particularly broken, having only one real weakness in the Bug-type. Now, how is this broken, you might ask? Well, the Bug-type Pokemon of this generation were relatively few and far between, and were generally not offensively viable, save for 2 of them, Pinsir and Cypher, leaving the Psychic-type to more or less dominate the game relatively unopposed, as both Pinsir and Cypher did not really learn any powerful Bug-type moves, as there really weren't any powerful Bug-type moves in this generation. This fact alone makes Abra a worthwhile investment if you can manage to evolve it. Moving on to Jigglypuff, we find another interesting normal type, similar to Clefairy and Clefable. Now, since this is Gen 1, the Fairy type does not exist yet, and so Jigglypuff, Clefairy, and Clefable are all normal types. Now, both have viability in their final forms, though Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff represent the more bulky side of the spectrum compared to Clefairy and Clefable. Having a high base HP stat with balanced offensive stats left it viable for physical or special movesets while having a bulky HP base to work with. Now, I'd consider both of these encounters viable additions to your roster, though Abra is definitely the more valuable of the 2. Moving on to Route 24. On this long stretch of land encompassing both the Nugget Bridge and connecting to Route 25 in the Cerulean Cape, we can find 2 duplicates and 3 fresh encounters. Now, it should be noted that both Route 24 and 25 share the same encounter list, so I will be essentially covering both of them right here. The Pokemon we can find are as follows: Pidgey, Pidgeotto, Oddish, Bellsprout, and Venonat. Now, Oddish and Bellsprout are 2 of the best grass-type options we will encounter prior to beating the Cerulean City Gym. Both are viable, though I find myself favoring the Oddish evolution line over Bellsprouts. Now, I hear you asking why, and do not worry, I'm going to explain. Early on, prior to their final forms, Bellsprout does have a slight edge over Oddish in terms of base stats. However, once they reach their final forms, I find that Vileplume is the more valuable option of the 2. Going off of base stats alone, the spread is much more favorable on Vileplume, both offensively and defensively, in my opinion. Hence why I favor the Oddish evolution line over Bellsprouts. Moving on to Venonat, we find an encounter that is wholly unimpressive. While Venonat and its final form Venomoth have decent stats, their move pools in this generation are genuinely unimpressive, having almost no worthwhile moves that do decent damage that are not taught through TMs. And these TMs that are better used on other Pokemon. That, coupled with how much bug types fall off in the late game, with the exception of Pinsir and Cypher, I would not consider it a worthwhile encounter. Now, if you have any strategies, tips, or ideas relating to any of the encounters thus far that I didn't mention, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Your input is always welcome here. And with that, we're all out of time for today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more exciting content. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.